Transcendental Transformation, the place where spirituality and transformation unite. Host Miss Raina imparts truth so that you can break through your limiting beliefs and evolve into a deeper consciousness. As you go about your day, remember, before every breakthrough, there is a breakdown. And now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Transcendental Transformation. I'm your host, Miss Raina, and today is Tuesday, February 20th, 2018. As always, we are coming live from the W4CY studios here in West Palm Beach, and I hope everyone has had an amazing week so far. Well, this weekend we had a softball tournament. It was for charity. It was the Rob Love Memorial Tournament. It was for a good cause. We were raising money for cancer and everything, and I got to help a friend's team. It was really nice because we didn't do so hot. We only won one game. It was a double elimination. We lost the first game, won the second, and lost the third game. But it's nice when you can play softball where there are no pressures, because a lot of the tournaments that we do, it's all about the win and trying to win the money and the bats and the jerseys and the sponsorships from all these large companies and everything. But this one was just for fun and watching people just enjoy themselves, and there was no fighting or anything. That's what softball is really about. But it was really nice because, like I said, we got to raise money. I don't know how much money we raised for cancer, but I try to do that as much as possible. There is another one coming up in a couple of weeks called Pink Ball, and that's another breast cancer awareness fundraiser for softball. So it was fun, and as always, hey, we didn't win. We got eliminated right away, but hey, you know what? I still got to play 3 games, got to hang out with my friends, and it's always good stuff. I also went to Renfest this past weekend. The Renaissance Festival is down here in Deerfield Beach, and it's down here, I think, for like 5-6 weeks, something like that. I could be totally wrong on that. I'm always off on my dates. But you know what? When I go to these places, I miss going to my pagan festivals, my camping trips. I mean, I need to get back into that stuff because I just look at it and whenever I go to these things and see all the dresses and the corsets and all the guys dressed up and the archery and all that stuff, it just takes you back to someplace. So, I did try the strongman competition. Well, the banging of that sledgehammer. Yeah, Julie over here is like looking all surprised. Yeah, and I got it almost up to the top. I mean, and then of course these guys were coming out, and I was beating half the guys. So, I had a little ego boost right there, but it was really fun. And I got to go with a couple of my friends, and we had a good time. It was their first Renaissance Festival, and it was just good stuff. I will be making some announcements. There's going to be some major changes to my life. If you've been following my social media, you know that there's going to be some changes, to the radio show, to the TV show, to everything that's going on, my personal life and everything. So I'm going to make those announcements next week. I got to figure out what I'm going to do and everything and how I'm going to set things up, but make sure you stay tuned. So Chad, how are you, my man? What's going on?
What a cliffhanger you left him with there.
What cliffhanger?
I'm changing my life, but you're going to have to find out next week.
That's right. That's how you keep him coming back.
That's good movement there. I'm doing good. Had a few gigs this weekend. It was as well balanced. Had a gig, and then we had a day off, and then a gig, and then a day off. So it was well balanced. Had a good time. We played at Boca West Country Club last night. And,
oh, nice.
Yeah.
How was that? Is that
beautiful?
Is that your first time there?
No, we go there probably about once or twice a year into the ballroom, but we'll play maybe once every other month for a different part of the golf club. But it's the ballroom's amazing. It holds probably about 800 people, and they just deck it out with all sorts of desserts and ribs and every type of barbecue. They call us in for country nights. They put hay everywhere, and they get the barbecues going, and it's a good time. And the kids have the most fun. They're up there cutting the dance floor for 2 hours straight. So that was the highlight. This is the Boca West Country Club gig we had last night.
Oh, nice! It's very fancy, from what I hear.
It is fancy. I'm surprised they have us. But we pump out a few Neil Diamond songs, and they keep calling us back. They like the Neil Diamond.
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry to hear about your loss.
Oh,
again.
That's it's part of the deal when you play ball.
I'm sick of hearing about these losses. I want to hear some wins going on.
Well, you know what? Last year was all about the wins. 2018 is not about the wins. It's about the L's right now.
That's right.
So
the ups and downs.
You got to take that.
You're well balanced, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, on with the show.
All right, Chad, thank you. All right, everybody, if you'd like to give us a call, you can call us in at 561-623-9429. Web chat us on the W4CY.com website and download the W4CY radio app. And as always, we are coming live from Periscope. If you haven't downloaded the Periscope app, make sure you do that and follow us on Transcendental 13. And we are doing the YouTube archive over here at the youtube.com/Transcendental Transformation. Well, I am excited about tonight because I have been waiting for this show for a long time. I have wanted this woman on my show for many, many years, and it just never seemed to work out. And finally, I reached out to her, hoping, had my fingers crossed, and she gave it a go. So I am so excited to have her. So our guest tonight, she is an executive director at Compass Community Center in Palm Beach, Florida. 11 years ago, she joined the development and outreach team to fundraise for the center's programs to help coordinate the agency's $3 million capital campaign and bringing the center to the city of Lake Worth, Florida. Advocating for equity in healthcare and providing a safe space for the LGBT clients and constituents of Compass, she fights for the rights and well-beings of not only the LGBT community, but equality for all humanity. She feels so lucky to be a part of this agency and hopes that her work, along with many others, will leave a lifelong legacy in this community. So please help me welcome to the show, Julie Seaver.
Hi, Miss Raina. It's so good to see you.
Absolutely. It's wonderful to see you. I'm so glad you're sitting here.
Did you know I didn't realize that you were so ingrained in the softball world? Our job, part of our mission at Compass is to diminish stereotypes and right along with the whole lesbian stereotype of all lesbians play softball.
Yes.
I also have a history in softball. Can you guess what position I played?
I would say second base.
No. I was the clipboard carrier and security officer. So our league was a drinking team with a softball problem.
Very nice.
And I got to track all of the stats and let everybody know where I thought the ball was going to go based on the history of each batter that would walk up to the plate. And sometimes we had a lot of fans.
Absolutely.
So we were a terrible C League game, and we had a lot of fans, and so I provided security because for whatever reason people are afraid of me, so I didn't know that we had that in common.
Yes, your job is actually important because in tournaments we have people specifically to keep track of where everyone's hitting, because people have patterns, and when you know where they're going to hit, they go 1, 2, 3 out.
I had no idea that it was that logistical and that planned out, so I learned a lot being the clipboard carrier. Well, it's a very important job. And so that's probably the extent of it. I have tennis elbow this week, and I don't even play tennis, so who knows? We're not getting any younger.
Yes. We were talking earlier before the show, and I can't believe, like you were saying, you have a daughter that just got into college. And, and I remember when I first met you, she was much younger, and the time is just going by so fast.
Yeah, she's finding that out as well. I guess as we get older now, when I go into work in the center and turn on the lights, it's like an event every single day. We open the doors there. And 5 minutes later, it's 7:00 at night. It just happens.
Yes. It goes by too fast. So well, I know what you do, but tell my listener, what is Compass?
So we are the LGBT community center of the Palm Beaches, and we serve all people, not just LGBTQ individuals, but we also have health services for HIV prevention, testing, and education, as well as an entire health services team of case managers and mental health therapists who really give of themselves every single day to work with men, women, and children who are living with HIV and AIDS.
Oh wow, that work is very important because a lot of people think that when they heard about Compass, because even when I came in or when people hear about the LGBT community, we kind of think of only certain stereotypes all the time. We only think that we talk about certain ideas and everything. But so like health services, you said that the HIV prevention and stuff, like what kind of, like if I was in the LGBT community and I came to Compass, what would I expect?
Well, so for instance, we have something for everyone. So when it comes to HIV testing and education, the younger population are at a higher risk for HIV transmission and other STDs. And so we have a lot of community partners with the Department of Health and Planned Parenthood, who are able to come in and round out our programs with these education and testing opportunities to really take charge of your health. And so what we're really trying to do to promote, not just with the younger generations, but with the older LGBT elder population as well, is about how to be sex positive. And that's the new buzzword in the community, is sex positivity. And that doesn't mean that that is in reference to your status regarding your HIV status, whether you're negative or positive, but having a very open and positive outlook and being responsible for your own sexual health and being able to have open communications with your partners or your partner or your husband or your wife or your spouse. And so I get to work with a lot of really smart, amazing people, and they're really the experts. I just oversee the administrative, unfortunately, the boring duties, but I get to work with an amazing group of staff and volunteers. We have so many different peer-led groups at Compass that there really is something for everybody.
I first met you a long time ago, and the first time I was introduced to Compass, there's this warm feeling of acceptance, a very, like, it almost feels like your second home. Because, especially you being the executive director now and everything like that, I've dealt with you for many years. I know I was helping to facilitate part of the gender group and everything. And, I have never met anybody there that made me feel uncomfortable. Everyone seems so helpful. Everyone seems so like they have the same mission, even if we have different belief systems or political system, whatever. When you come there, everybody seems like they have the one agenda, and that's to help each other.
Well, I think that, and thank you for saying that. We're just a bunch of humans and social workers trying to help our little corner of the world, and really it's about being able to provide a safe space for not just our groups and Compass's program initiatives, but as well as the community. So if you have an idea for a social or a support group, we're always taking new ideas, and the only thing that you have to do, if you have an idea for a group, whether that be, a weekly yoga group or a support group, any type of group whatsoever, you just have to be inclusive, and you have to agree that you will maintain the safe space that we've all set before us. And so 30 years ago when Compass was born, this is our 30-year birthday this year.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah,
wow,
so we're really
years.
Excited. I was... like in kindergarten, I was about this many years old back then.
Born too.
Yeah. So, those committed and passionate volunteers were really born out of the HIV and AIDS epidemic. So our beginnings, we started as the Stop AIDS Project in 1988. And then with the gift of a building and a center and being able to write for programs and grants, that group of volunteers turned into one staff member, two staff members, and then peer facilitators like yourself, being able to be the friendly face, the safe space that people can show up once a week or once a month, depending on what your group direction is, to be able to provide a safe haven for people to come in and talk about what their challenges were for the last week or the last month, and what they being able to be matched up with mentors that have gone through their process, whether that's a coming out process or if they're having gender identity issues, or they just need a safe, inclusive environment. Being in the epicenter of Lake Worth is right there in the center of Palm Beach County. So we're accessible to a lot of different demographics and a wide range of population here in Palm Beach County.
Well, I think that it's important that people have a safe space. I mean, this world is rough, and, you never know who's who's thinking what, and you could be seen by someone who's very aggressive. You could just be going out, and we see this all the time on the news. We see this all the time on social media. I talk about social media all the time because I have to be on it, but unfortunately it puts out everything for you, and we see a lot of people that get hurt or maybe even killed, which is very sad. And and a lot of people don't know where to go, and I get approached all the time, and they'll sit there and say, well, where's there a place to go? Where can I go and know people that are, and I hate to use the term like me, because that means we're like classifying ourselves as something, but they say, we're somebody that I can go to trust, and I think that when you have places like this in your community and people recognize that, then they're able to understand that not everyone in the world is going to come and get you.
Sure. I think that the important thing, and you hit the nail right on the head when you said someplace you can go that you can trust. Confidentiality has always been the crux of our mission, whether that becomes with staff members or volunteers, being able to see people coming into the center. They might be there for an HIV test or a coming out support group, or they might be there for a business meeting. A lot of people utilize the center to help forward-thinking businesses and being able to support each other in our business endeavors, just to raise our quality of life. And whether you're there for a business meeting or you're there to coordinate a community event or participate in a support group, confidentiality has been one of the most important parts of our mission, so that you do feel like you're in a safe space and you don't have to tell your story. Not everybody who comes into the center that identifies as gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, or even one of our straight allies, not everybody who identifies as one of those check the box genders or yes. sexual orientations necessarily wants to be an activist.
Absolutely.
Or, necessarily wants to be the voice of that. They just want to fit into this world and stand out in this world and do their thing. And so I'm happy that for 30 years we've been providing that space, and hopefully we'll be around for the next 30.
I think that, when I was there with Compass for the time that I was, and, I thought that was amazing that, it just wasn't about the letters, as you say, or the box that we're checking in. There was parents and people that, friends and family members that supported, that understood that the support of your friends and family and everybody is just as important as someone else going by themselves or whatever. And so, I think, confidentiality is, because when we go there and we're young, or even if we're older and we're getting into our life and we're rediscovering who we are, and we're finally going to push and be ourselves, it's scary to go to a place and not know anybody, and then all of a sudden have all these people. And I know, even doing the groups that we did, we would sit in a circle and, say you're even in anything in business, you're in business, and you go there right away, everybody say your name, what you do, and everyone starts sweating right away, because it's that spotlight of what am I going to do? So I think that's the wonderful thing about Compass, is that they have that safe space and the confidentiality. We'll be right back after these messages from the Life of Raina.
A message from the Life of Raina. We live in a world faced with many tough challenges. Our lives become chaotic and filled with disaster ever so quickly, most of the time before we even realize. Our issues beat down our mental mindset, and an imbalance of emotions become prevalent. The Life of Raina is dedicated to helping people on the deepest spiritual level. Miss Raina, the creator of Transcendental Development and Growth, works on your core issues and finds the solutions which allow you to break free from the emotional bondages of life, helping you achieve the life you've always wanted to live. Isn't it time that you lived life for you? Call the Life of Raina, 561-846-2190, and schedule your appointment today. That's 561-846-2190. Or email thelifeofraina@icloud.com.
Okay, everybody, we are back. You are listening to Miss Raina on Transcendental Transformation, and we have a special guest. She is the Executive Director of Compass Community Center here in Palm Beach, Florida. And right before the break, we were talking about having, a place in our community to have a safe space, that has confidentiality, that has mentors. And, the one thing that I wanted to talk to you about is the youth, because obviously, we're getting older, but at one time we were youth. We were, when we were growing up, we didn't have the resources. We didn't have all the stuff that they have today. So if they're, what is the age group is there an age group that Compass kind of cuts off, or is everybody welcome with parental guidance?
Well, that's a really good question, because when I first started with Compass about 11 years ago, in our minds, youth was anybody under 18, and usually that age range was basically 14 to 18, 15 to 18, and then as they age out, we really didn't have that transitional group. Because everybody's, that's it. You're 18, you're an adult, you know everything right now.
Absolutely.
And what we're finding, and, being the mother of a 20-year-old, I do remember what it was like to be 18, and I did think I was an adult. And now I'm realizing that you don't know crap.
No, we don't. We don't. We really don't.
I know. And, what we're finding is that the kids are coming in much younger. So our youngest youth group member right now is aged 11. And then we also have the support of, and we're very lucky to have PFLAG, which is Parents, Friends, and Family of Lesbian and Gays. So that organization started way before Compass, and it's peer facilitated. So while the parents and family members can meet on the other side of the center while the kids are coming in after school hours and in the evenings, just to give them a safe space. And they go around the circle and they say their name and how old they are. And if they go to public school, because not all of them do,
absolutely,
it doesn't work for all of our youth. But what school they go to, and what one cool thing that happened this week. So it's kind of like that icebreaker,
absolutely,
and sometimes, even as an adult, like when you said going into a new situation or a business networking mixer, you're supposed to have a return on your investment,
yes.
And you're supposed to be shaking hands and kissing babies, yes, and passing out business cards. And, I think that starting in development and fundraising and events, I think that a lot of people, they had the perception of me as being a very extroverted social butterfly. But I think now, as I get older, I think that I've always been an introvert that's played the role of an extrovert.
Yes. We have to. We're in business. You have to. I think that's great. I've never really dealt with PFLAG. I heard about it, but have you ever, I started seeing people in articles on the news and stuff, all the children, especially in the gender community. And, there's children as young as 5, 6 years old identifying as different genders and everything, or sometimes no gender at all. Mm-hmm. Is Compass prepared for that?
Well, this is what's really exciting. So for the first time ever, we started our trans youth group. It's a support group about 3 years ago. We did that based out of the need of the number of young people coming in with gender identity issues. And I feel like there was a little bit of pushback because parents and grandparents who knew there was an issue, they were like, I don't know if they're gay or lesbian. I mean, they're so young, they don't know what they want. And I think that the pushback or people thinking that once they drop their child off, that we're going to push them into checking a box. And that is not what it's about. So we started the transgender youth program a few years ago, and starting this past October, we now have a funded youth program through Palm Beach County Youth Services Department.
Oh, wow.
So I feel like that's pretty groundbreaking to have county dollars funding a trans youth program. And that says a lot about what our elected officials and our community members and our commission, and about the work, not just of Compass, but that we are pushing the needle forward. I know it feels like we're going backwards all the time, every time we turn on the news, like you said, but we've really come a long way. And I'm really excited about that program, because while we're not all experts in the field, as I was mentioning earlier, the diversity of our staff really reflects the population and the community members that we're serving. And so we have mental health therapists and, masters in social work, MSWs, LCSWs on staff. And we also have trans individuals that are able to bring light into these kids' lives and be able to answer their questions and how they're feeling. And so we've opened up the trans youth group to what some might consider a new term, but really has been around for a long time in the gender nonconforming individual, somebody who identifies as either both the male and female or neither male nor female. And sometimes it can get a little confusing. And so we really just take the direction of the way that the group conversation is going and being able to provide that support and those answers for them.
Well, labels do get confusing because, as far as society, we have to identify with something. I mean, that's what we're taught. We have to identify with all these different ideas in order for it to tell us who we are. And then all of a sudden something shifted. Well, some people, like even myself, there are times I feel female, there are times I feel male, there are times I don't even feel either of them, and there are times that I feel both at the same time. And growing up, you feel like, especially in my generation, you feel like you had to pick one or the other. And now all of a sudden the most amazing thing happened, and all of a sudden you don't have to pick that anymore. Like you don't have to be anything. And I think that's great that this trans youth group is coming through, because whether you're gay, lesbian, bi, whatever, everybody sits there. Like even when I was trying to figure out myself, my parents sent me to a psychiatrist, and they said, "Oh, Raina, we'll figure out that problem." And they didn't mean it in that sense, but in the same sense, it was kind of like, well, what do you expect from me? And I had a supportive therapist, and this lady told me, well, you need to figure out who you were or who you are, and pushed me towards it. Not pushed me in a way of, oh, this is what you want to be, so you got to go towards it, but really took my hand and kind of explained and made me kind of dabble in the lifestyles to understand who I am. And honestly, it was the best thing for me, because it wasn't like I had to be one or the other or this or that or had to check a box right away, because I'm sorry, I knew who I was at a young age, but because everyone telling me that, of all these different ideas, well, you're young, you don't know what you want. Well, I did know what I want. And so I think that's great that you guys have this group, that anybody, not just trans people, but, anybody can come into.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that, because the younger generation, they don't want to check the box. I mean, they don't want to check the box of lesbian, gay, male, female. People are questioning, what is the difference between bisexual and pansexual, and why do we have to learn all of these letters? And I mean, we started out as the Gay and Lesbian Community Center, and then we were the LGBT's Community Center, and then the trans individuals didn't feel included in some of the groups and programs because, everybody in basically it's society's expectations are pushed on you. And I really think that it hasn't always been about sexual orientation. I think it's always been about society's expectations of what your gender role is supposed to be. So not just identifying how you're supposed to be and act, but how you're supposed to dress, who you're supposed to love, and who you're supposed to be attracted to. And so I think that gender identity has really been the core issue for society and wanting to force people in a box one way or the other. So.
Well, I get asked this because you were just mentioning the letters, the LGBTQ, and now there's an A. And, and I get approached this all the time, and they say, okay, well, are we really pushing all these ideas? Because, okay, so we have the L, we have the G, or the G, the B, the T. Now all of a sudden we get the Q, the A, and then some people say, oh, okay, what's next? Are we pushing too much? Do you think we're pushing too much to include everyone because people want to fit in someplace?
That's a really interesting question, and we do try to be as inclusive as possible, not just at Compass, but I think that everybody wants to be inclusive. But I heard something the other day. We had the Latino Commission on AIDS came and did a workshop for our staff and our volunteer facilitators, group facilitators, and somebody said something that really resonated with me. If you are trying to do something or be something for everyone, then it's really meant for no one.
Absolutely.
And so I think that really comes down to you can't be all things to all people. So if you're trying to reach a specific demographic or group of people, then you have to try to go out and find if there is a need for that. For instance, over the years, people have asked, do you have a group for bisexual support? Because we feel like the bisexual community is often left out.
Yes,
and they're discriminated against. And I don't know why they're discriminated against. They have twice the opportunity for dating, or thrice the opportunity if you want to include all genders. So I think that's a really interesting concept of you can't be all things to all people. And so we're just trying to do the best way that we can. And that's where group facilitators and volunteers like yourself, who agreed to give a portion of their time or their skills or their life experiences to the groups, and be able to help mentor somebody along the way. If you save just one, you saved enough.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. And, because we go into work, and even me lately, I've been frustrated in my work. And sometimes, we dedicate ourselves so much to these ideas and to so much to this cause of, wanting to change the world, make it a better place, make it a safer place for people to grow up. And that sometimes I think even when we don't think we're seeing the changes that we're expecting, sometimes I think that gets to us in a little bit. But you brought up something, and actually I was going to talk about bisexuality, because that's another topic and you said it right off the bat, that the bisexual community feels ousted, and I've seen it even in this community. And that's one of the things that I never understood. If we're supposed to be a community and we're supposed to be of acceptance and understanding, why do we feel like we're sectioning off with the different letters? And if we're really trying to come to an understanding with each other, then we should be as accepting of them as we want us to be with them.
I think where people get stopped up, and I could be wrong, but one of the things that I've thought about a lot lately about that very subject is that I think that for the most part, people feel like they need to understand other people or other communities and other cultures before they can accept. And I really just don't think I agree with that. I don't think that you have to fully understand what somebody is about, what somebody's gender identity is about, or what their sexual orientation is about, before you can accept that this person is just different than you. And how they identify and who they love really doesn't have anything to do with what's going on in your house.
Absolutely. But that's the thing is I think our society has it's created this, I like to call it the monster, we have to be in everyone's business. And really, I've always been the person that live and let live. I don't care what you do. I don't care anything about what you do. As long as you're not hurting someone or doing something destructive or doing anything to children, I don't care what you do. I don't care the way you dress. I don't care what you're into, what you believe in. It doesn't matter to me. But again, how we were talking earlier, but I think that's threatening to people, because if we have these ideas that, that this religion or spirituality or this idea has to be this way, and if it's anything out this way, well, then you're a threat to me. And then if all of a sudden what I believe in is not true, then who am I?
Right. And I think that we probably ask ourselves, who am I, until the day that we're gone.
Yes. Well, we should be asking ourselves who I
was like, on my way here to the studio, I was thinking about years ago when our personalities just didn't meld well together. And I don't even remember what it was about. It was probably something stupid. And I thought about it. I'm like, well, I'm really glad that you reached out, because I'm not the same person that I was 10 years ago. And then we laughed, and I'm like, hell, I'm not the same person I was 10 minutes ago.
Yes, exactly.
And 10 minutes from now, I'm probably going to be completely different in my way of thinking about other people and what this means. And, I'm finding, I know this is going to sound really cliche, but a lot of change has happened just in my life and the agency's life in the last few weeks. And it's always changing, and it's ever changing. And as I mature and get older, and the agency matures and gets older, I'm realizing that the relationships that didn't work out, or the interactions that we had with people that didn't work out, that I used to take personally, and I still take things personally.
Absolutely.
I'm realizing now that those times, it was about, I think it was more about what I personally was going through, that I would perceive what you were going through and what you were saying to me and what you were projecting on me as something that I had to internalize and I had to fix.
Yes.
That I was broken, or that I was wrong, or that you didn't agree with me, not because I wanted everybody to think the way that I thought or agree with my ideas, but that you personally were attacking me. But really, it's just about you're seeing other people through the lens of where you're sitting at that time.
Yes.
And so I don't know where I was when we had that breakdown in communication, but I just remember thinking that, God, it just feels like a lifetime ago.
Yes, it was. Well, it was so many years ago, but, but we all grew up. I grew up from that because I used to, I'm very strong with my ways and stuff, and sometimes I'm very blunt, and a lot of people, I had to learn to be softer because, even I never understood, like for a while, it was always like, it wasn't ever trying to get people to look at my way, but the way I came across, it was like, boom, and it was like a brick wall, and a lot of people took that as a personal attack. And I think it kind of ties into what we're saying is how we present our ideas, and what, as you said, what we're going through is how we take things personally. Because if we take things as a threat, if we take things as, well, I don't understand this, what is this person trying to convey to me, and is this taking away from me, then of course we're going to take it personally, because we're trying to find that value. And again, even in our lifestyle, even in the LGBTQA community, we have to evolve. We have to change. Our ideas have to grow. We can't stay stuck in an idea of this is right and wrong and black and white. It has to have gray, and it has to have, all these different ideas, all these different, in order for us to come in as a community. And, I've always respected you. I have always, even when we disagreed we were butting heads, I never lost any respect for you, because I knew underneath my stubbornness, under your stubbornness, that we had the same mission. And I think that's what's important for people to understand, that you're not always going to agree, but the mission of helping others should still be that number one.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the youth and all of the young adults in our programs, which have grown into being able to cover that 18 to 22 year. That's when you're still trying to find out about yourself. You could be getting into trouble. That's the drinking age, I can do this, I can do that, but I'm not allowed to do this, but I can vote. And, there's a whole lot of things that happen in that age range that is not funded. It's just not. And so being able to work with the young people, they teach us more every day. I remember an interaction between an older gay man and two members of our youth group. And he asked the question, what is this queer? Why are you guys identifying as queer? I don't like that word. Yeah. It's my generation, queer means odd and out of place or strange, and we just don't like that word. And they just looked at each other and laughed, and they're like, well, we utilize the word queer. We've taken back the word queer. We have embraced the word queer, and if it's not your word, then you don't get to use it. Yeah. And I was like, yeah. Well, they told him.
Yes.
Taking note.
Yeah, sometimes you have to, but that's the idea that I think that it keeps popping around is, when, as you said earlier about trying to understand and comprehend, the brain has to understand. And I think we become, these ideas that we have to understand 2 + 2 = 4 in order for us to accept it. And when we don't understand it and we don't like the word, I don't like the word moist, and I know I'm going to say it now, it's going to ring in my head for the next 20 minutes. But I think that, we will make the judgment towards it. And no matter what anyone tells us after that, we've already become closed-minded to it. So we got about 8 minutes left. So what I want to do, what do you think the number one issue that the LGBT community is facing right now? Or is there a number one issue?
Well, you're right. I don't think there is a number one issue. I think that when same-sex marriage went through, that the greater community and the mainstream straight allied community members thought, well, you guys are good. You have marriage now, so everything's fine. And the violence in the community and the bullying that still happens, you talked about social media. When I was going to school a couple years ago, the bullying stopped when the bell rang. And because of social media and phones and texting and Instagram and Facebook and all of these things, the bullying is 24 hours a day, and it's still happening. And even though we have protections for our LGBTQ youth in schools, we're hearing from them that the bullying isn't so much as coming from student to student, although that still happens, but it's coming from old school mentality from our school teachers.
Wow, that's surprising.
It's still happening. I mean, we just had a young person come to us for help, and a school teacher intentionally mispronouncing them.
Oh, that's a shame.
And we have school district employees in place to be able to help that one young person, because the statistics of suicide rates in LGBTQ youth are ridiculously high, but they have the same problems as other young people, as our heterosexual identifying youth. They're worried about going to school. Like, they shouldn't have to be worried about gun safety in school.
Yes.
And so I really think that this younger generation is going to bring us to a level of not only awareness and understanding, but accountability amongst the adults that haven't been able to provide them what we promised that we would do.
I hope so, because that is one thing that you always hear me talk about, is accountability and responsibility. And we don't like to take accountability or responsibility for our actions or thoughts or anything that we do.
That's too scary.
It is. It's
too scary.
And I like the fact that these kids, I love watching the videos when they have these kids and they're showing them videos of, different races, different genders, different, sexualities and stuff. And the kids are like, what's the big deal? I don't understand. Why is this a big deal to you guys? And, and I hope that they do, because, I don't care how old you are, how enlightened you are, how much you think you know, you always have something to learn from somebody. And most likely when people enter your life, it's for a reason. It's for a reason why they're there to teach you something. Absolutely. And if you're stuck in your righteousness, then I think that message doesn't come across. And yeah, unfortunately, we did have a school shooting again, and that just, it's not, it says to our society that something is going on either with our medication or the way we're teaching kids to not handle their issues or their problems. I mean, everyone has problems or challenges. There's no one, whether you're in the community or not, you have challenges. You're here in life. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have things that happen in your life. And school prepares us for, to get a job. But it doesn't prepare us. And I, even growing up, I was bullied for many, many years. I mean, so much that I went to see a therapist for many years after school and even during, because I wasn't sure. And if it wasn't for that, I don't know where I would be today, because I wouldn't have known how. I mean, the teachers didn't do anything but just separate us.
Yeah, and that's not always the option. I think that mostly it's about awareness. And so we have a lot of great agencies and nonprofits here in Palm Beach County that are able to do a wide variety of things. So if Compass isn't the agency for you, we have partnerships with over 250 agencies and organizations providing services to all people, regardless of gender identity or sexual orientation. And that's what we're doing now, is we are creating a culture of inclusiveness and cultural competency of people that are working with the LGBT community, whether they be youth, adults, or elders, because we need services for because I'm going to be an elder in a minute.
No, you're not.
I'm going to be one.
Still got a few
so
years.
I want to make sure that, we have home health care workers and independent and assisted living facilities that are inclusive of my chosen lifestyle. And I say that with the quote fingers.
Absolutely. That's what I like about you. No one does the quote fingers anymore.
It's fun. It's better than air Kadar. Come on.
So, Julie, how do people how do people find Compass?
So we're on the interwebs. With the Wi-Fis and the GBs. So we're located in downtown Lake Worth at 201 North Dixie Highway. You don't need an appointment. You can come in. Or if you're a little shy and you want to check us out, we're on Facebook under Compass Center. And we have a website, which we're launching a new website March 1st for our 30th anniversary. It's at www.compassglcc.com. And we're going to be at the Street Painting Festival next week.
Oh, nice.
So have you ever been?
Yes, I have. I go every year to the Street Painting Festival.
Yeah, so it's right around the corner from the center, and we always launch our Pride Fest theme and parade, which is March 24th and 25th this year. So people always expect to see us selling tickets to Pride and the parade downtown at the Street Painting Festival, because it's always 1 month before Pride. So.
Oh, very nice. Well, I will be sure to come find you when I go to the Street Painting Festival.
Yeah, we can check out all of the artwork and stuff like that. Well, a lot of people find out about Compass and their programs through the Street Painting Festival. So, we're out there. We're not just in the LGBT community. We're in our community. And so I think it's important part of our mission to be responsible and good neighbors and participate in all of the community's activities and just, enjoy life, because it's too short.
Absolutely. Well, Julie, thank you so much for being on the show. You have been a pleasure.
You too.
All right, everybody. This is tonight's show. If you want to follow us on our Facebook at facebook.com/Transcendental Transformation. Visit my website, soulandspiritguide.com, to sign up for VIP access, to get special offers. If you'd like to email me about the question about the show or anything like that, email us at transcendentaltransformations@gmail.com. Make sure you visit the w4cy.com website. And always remember to believe in yourself, and it's not our abilities or our talents that make us who we are, but it is our choices. Thank you and have a wonderful day.